Welcome to the Ministry of Grace study on the book of Revelation. We are in chapter 10 tonight. Chapter 10 is about a mighty angel and a little scroll. That's what it is. Okay, let's go right into it. Starting in verse 1. Then I saw another mighty angel coming down from heaven, wrapped in a cloud, with a rainbow over his head, and his face was like the sun, his legs like pillars of fire. There are a number of people who interpret this chapter and say that that mighty angel who's wrapped in a cloud with a rainbow over his head must be Jesus Christ, because God is frequently seen as being either enclosed in clouds or riding on clouds. In fact, one of the Old Testament names for God was a cloud rider. They also assume that because of the rainbow. And what is the source of the rainbow? God's promise to Noah that he would never flood the earth again and destroy life that way. So, they say this must be Jesus Christ. Well, there are a couple of reasons why I don't think this can be. The first thing we need to recognize is that the scene has suddenly shifted from the heavenly scene to an earthly scene. John is now on the earth, and he sees this angel coming. And it's a mighty angel. And it's another mighty angel. And remember, there are two different Greek words for another. One meaning another of the same kind, and another meaning another of a different kind. And what is the one that means another of a different kind? Heteros. Good. And do you remember the one that means another of the same kind? Allos. Allos, yes. And this happens to be Allos. So this is another angel, another mighty angel of the same kind. Well, then we have to ask ourselves, the same kind as what? In the previous chapter, he talked about the presence angels who have the trumpets, the seven angels with the trumpets. It could be a reference to that, another angel of that same kind. Although this one, he says, is another mighty angel. And only once before in Revelation have we encountered a mighty angel. So I think his reference here is this is another mighty angel of the same kind as the previous mighty angel. So he is wrapped in a cloud. Well, I already said that a cloud is frequently a representation of God, but more than that is a representation of God's judgment. So this cloud here could be that this angel is coming with God's judgment. He has a rainbow over his head. We just said that the rainbow was originated after the flood, when God promised Noah that he would not destroy the earth with a flood again. So rainbow is a promise from God that he won't destroy the same way. So this angel with a rainbow around his head is not only representing God's judgment, but God's mercy as well. His face was like the sun, and his legs like pillars of fire. Again, these are descriptions that are often given of Christ, but all that it means here is that this angel, this mighty angel, is filled with God's glory. And you remember from the Christmas sermon that was not too long ago, 2 days ago, when an angel appeared in the sky, his glory, the glory of the Lord, shone all around them. Okay, it lit up the whole place. So this angel also appears to have the glory of the Lord. Another indication that this is not Christ comes from Revelation 10:6, where this mighty angel takes an oath by him who lives forever and ever. And we'll get to that in just a second. Clearly, this is a huge, powerful angel. And how do we know he's huge? Verse 2. He had a little scroll in his hand, and he set his right foot on the sea and his left foot on the land. Now, he didn't put his right foot in the sea, it was on the sea. Okay? Angels can do that, just like God can do that. You want to do that? Someday you may be able to walk on water. Who knows? The problem is, in the new heavens, there is no sea. In the new earth, there is no sea. When I was first saved, I was a big-time surfer. And the first time I read that passage that said there will be no more sea, I thought, how good can heaven be if there's no waves to surf, right? He had in his hand a little scroll. Now, scroll is typically the word biblios, which means a book. Literally, it means a scroll. But to us, it would be a book. This is not the word biblios. This is the word biblaridion, which means a little book, or we might today say a booklet. He has this little scroll in his hand, and it is open. Okay? Remember the previous scroll that we saw was the one that the one sitting on the throne, God the Father, had in his hand. And the mighty angel, and that's the other place we encountered a mighty angel, he said, "Who is worthy to open the scroll and read its contents and break the seals?" So this is not sealed. It's wide open. Some people think this must be the same scroll just after all the seals have been broken. There are some interpreters of this that say that it may be referred to as a little scroll because the angel was so huge. I don't know. One wouldn't think that it would change the name of it. No. So personally, I think this is a different scroll. And like the other mighty angel that we encountered in the throne room, this one will make a proclamation. He called out with a loud voice like a lion roaring. The roar of a lion, I've read in places, can be heard for as much as 3 to 5 miles away. That's how loud a lion's roar is. And it is a frightening sound. Okay? This angel had that kind of a loud roar. And when he called out, the 7 thunders sounded. What are the 7 thunders? Anybody? Nobody knows. What did the 7 thunders say? When he called out, the 7 thunders sounded, and when the 7 thunders had sounded, I was about to write, John says, but I heard a voice from heaven saying, "Seal up what the 7 thunders have said, and do not write it down." So John was not permitted to write it down. John apparently understood it. He understood what these 7 thunders said, but he was forbidden from writing it down. Will we ever get to know what the 7 thunders said? Possibly, although we're never told whether we will or not. We may not care, or we may just be curious when we get up to heaven and say, "Hey God, I have a question." Now, we do know that thunder is often expressed as part of God's judgment. And that would make sense, because the 7 seals were God's judgment. The 7 trumpets are God's judgment. The 7 bowls or vials that we'll be getting to later are God's judgment. And those are all grouped in 7s. These may very well be additional judgments that God is going to hand out to the earth dwellers, but we have no idea what they are or when they'll happen or anything. We just know there are 7 thunders. Now John was about to write, and it says, I heard a voice from heaven. This is another indication that John is now on the earth and not up in the throne room. And we will see through this book of Revelation that the scene changes from a heavenly scene to an earthly scene back and forth. And we have to be careful and recognize where it's occurring. Verse 5. And the angel whom I saw on the sea and on the land raised his right hand to heaven and swore by him who lives forever and ever, who created the heaven and what is in it, the earth and what is in it, and the sea and what is in it, that there should be no more delay. This is another indication that this is not Jesus Christ, that this is an angel. Because if it had been Jesus Christ, as he said in Genesis 22, he probably would have said, by myself I have sworn, declares the Lord, because you have done this and have not withheld your son, your only son, etc. And in Hebrews 6 it says, for when God made a promise to Abraham, since he had no one greater by whom to swear, he swore by himself. So if this mighty angel were actually Jesus Christ, he would have sworn by himself and not by anything else. Okay? So I think it's pretty clear that this mighty angel is not Jesus Christ. We are told not to make an oath, but to let your yea be yea and your nay be nay. But that is in reference to somebody saying, when they tell you something, oh, I swear that's true. I swear on my dead mother's grave that that's true, or whatever. The Pharisees used to swear by the gift on the altar. But Jesus, when he taught not to swear, he said, so which is greater, the altar or the gift that's on it? This angel raised his hand towards God, or at least towards heaven, and swore by him who lives forever and ever, who created heaven and what is in it, and earth and what is in it, and sea and what is in it, that there would be no more delay. That word translated delay is the Greek word chronos, which is a word that means the measurement of time. There are 2 words for time. Just like in Greek, there are 2 words for other things. One of them refers to a season or a period of time, and the other refers to the marking of time. Okay? So some have read this and said that what he's proclaiming is that time will come to an end. And eventually it will. But that's not going to happen anytime around here. When God creates the new heavens and the new earth, time is no more. In eternity, there is no measurement of time and no season. Okay. So it can't be referring to no more time. Otherwise, it would have to happen at the end of the millennium, not during the tribulation. So the best Bible scholars look at this and they say he's referring to delay of time. He's saying there will be no more delay. Okay? Where did we encounter a delay previously? Anybody remember? The martyrs that were underneath the altar, yes. They said, when, O Lord, are you going to avenge our blood on those who have taken advantage of us? And he said, rest a little while longer. Okay? So I think this may be a reference to that. It may be saying, okay, we're going to take vengeance on the permanent earth dwellers now. There's no more delaying. That could, well, possible. But we'll see that we've had 6 trumpets up to this point. The 7th trumpet, if you look at your diagram, and none of you have them here, but they happen rapid fire, boom, 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 boom. The 7 bowls or vials happen as part of the 7th trumpet. In fact, if you look at the seals, the first 6 are fairly definite. The 7th seal includes the 7 trumpets. And the 7th trumpet includes the 7 bowls or vials. And John is told that the ending of the delay occurs with the sounding of the 7th trumpet. That's when there's no more delay. And that's when some of these terrible things, judgments, are laid upon the earth. Verse 8. Then the voice that I had heard from heaven